And today I'm gonna paint this beach bag. It's just a chair, umbrella, and the sand. And I keep the kids' sand toys in my bag, so always find something for it to do. Okay, so I'm gonna paint a pillowcase. I have plastic inside to make sure the paint doesn't go through to the back. And I always put it on some paper towel so that if I turn the pillow, I move the whole paper towel and I'm not like taking this over some paint I have here on the side or anything. So this is just like my tray that I use. I just want to make sure the plastic are lying flat. Let me make sure. Just pull it over here so that I don't have any bumps while I paint. And I am gonna pull it down a little bit. I want to make sure I get all of it there in the top. And I'm just going to use my big brush. I mix my blue. This is the blue that I usually use with some white. I think I need to put a little bit of the base with it. I like to always, if I paint on a light color, if I use white, I put base with it, just to make it not so plasticky. I'm just going to mix with my paintbrush, which you should not do. And I'm just going to paint up here. Oh, that is a pretty color for the sky. And when I have a pillowcase, I usually lift it up and I make sure I get it all in there. So I make sure I cover, and I use a lot of water for this, so I don't have white pieces there. It can be lighter, but you don't want it to be white. Same for over here. I'm just gonna come down here. Oh, where's my painters up there? And for the sky, even if it's like, can you see there's not the same amount of paint, that's more water. It makes it look more realistic. Using a lot of water here. You can also just use a sponge. Might make it a lot easier. This is going to be my ocean down here. I'm just putting the light blue towards the bottom. That's also ocean over here. Because I'm just going to come over it with a darker blue. I'm going to mix. Just want to make sure I got all of my sky there. Because you don't want it to look like there's mountains on your horizon. I have a mountain over there. I'm just trying to flatten it out. Your nail works perfect to, if the paint's not pushed into the fibers, the nail would work perfect to get it out. And also you want to, if the sky and over here, you just want to paint in in one. I mean, you can make it a little wavy, but you want to just go one direction. You don't want to be all over the place. And you can see I'm just spreading the paint now with water. I'm not even getting any new paint here. I'm just moving whatever I have on the fabric around. And if you have green paint, you can bring in a little bit of green also. Or you can just mix a little bit of yellow with the blue. And that way you can get a little bit of green. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the sand. I mix like a, I call this like my Sahara sand, and this is my white beach sand. So it depends on, it looks a lot darker on the camera than what it actually is. It's a very light color. So it's just this mixed with white, which is more like a reddish brown. It's so hard because it depends on what device you're looking at to see the coloring. But whatever you feel like is a sand color to you, it's basically brown mixed with white and base. And if you feel like you have, your color is too red for you, you just put a little bit of yellow in. If your color is too yellow, you just put a little bit of red in. And if it still stays, if it's too light, then after that, sometimes a little bit of blue, because red, yellow, and blue makes brown. Depends on how much red you have in your mixture, will make more reddish brown or yellowish brown. The blue usually just makes it a darker brown. So now I'm just going to clean off my brush. I just put it in the water. This is a 3/4 inch brush. And I am just going to paint my sand. Don't worry if you go over the chair or anywhere. Or even if the blue comes in over into your, if the blue like kind of blends like there. Let's do this side also. Because there is sand under the water in the ocean. You just don't want too much of it. Okay, now for your sand, you can take some glitter. This is tulips glitter. This is optional. You do not need to do it. And I'm just I just want to put a little bit of shine on it. I'm just working that in a little bit. Get some over here. You can even use your finger just to push it around a little bit. Put it on your finger. That way. You can almost not, I don't know if you can see it with the camera. Okay, so now I'm going to paint with my white paint. And my white is very thick, or even if you use acrylic paint to paint on fabric or any kind of white, if your white is very thick, it's going to make a thick plastic layer on top. It's not gonna, it's gonna take away the soft feel of your fabric. So I like to I mix my white. So I'm gonna take, let's get the water first. I'm gonna take a little bit. This water is whiter. This one is blue. And this one is whiter. So I'm gonna take some clean water. And I'm gonna put in about the same amount of, remember this is gonna make it very runny. Might have too much water here. And if the paint is runny, this is water-based paint, so you can always make it thinner with water. If your paint starts feeling too thick, you can always, instead of dipping your paintbrush all the time, you can just add a little bit of water to your paint. Okay. This is very runny. So this is about a 50-50 mix, I would say. So I am first going to try and just, I'm trying to think, I want to make the umbrella like red and white. So I want the white here and there. So I am just going to see, now I'm getting the thicker paint from the side. And I am just going to, oh no, that's too thick. It doesn't even want to move. And this brush is too small. We'll be here for the day. Let's try this one. Can you see there? It's like bleeding a little bit into my water. So you want to come away from your, you want to paint away from your line where you're going to be, and you just want to come in very lightly. And that helps with it bleeding also. So you want little paint on your brush here on the edge. Let me do it over here. So I'm just going to come away from my line a little bit. And then it just bleeds kind of into the line. I'm also scraping the thicker paint here from the side. I'm not taking the totally watery paint. So I'm just trying to build a little bit of a edge here with the thicker paint. And now I'm going to dip into the watery paint. And just cover all of this. Down to the chair. Okay, I think that's the white for the chair and the umbrella. So now you can also put a little bit of white on your, I mean, you can just tap a little bit of white and then go over with your finger, or you can leave it that way. So it looks like a little bit of breaking of the waves there. You don't want it too definite. If you don't like this, you can always come in and just cover it with the blue again. It's all up to you if you want to put a little bit of white in there. Now for my sand, I like to use a very old brush. That's usually the one I give my grandchildren to paint with. Or you can use a little chip brush like this. So can you see it's like totally red. So I take some of the watery paint and I'm just gonna come down here. And I'm going over the sand and coming up into the ocean. I have a line here that I just need to make sure I cover. And you can, if this looks too definite to you, you can always come in with your fingers and just, I'm just gonna cover my line that I have there. But I want it to look like the, you know, like the foam is coming over the, so maybe there should not be such a definite line. I'm just trying to break that line up a little bit. So now I'm just going to use the one edge of the brush. And I'm just letting it come over the sand and I'm putting a few splashes up there. It's going to come in here. And now you can kind of see the sand through it. I might need a little bit of a, and you can always come back once this dried and put a little bit more white over here if it looks too light, because this kind of blends in, but if you come afterwards and you put some more white there, it would be perfect. Okay, so I think that's what I want to do with the white. So I am going to close up my white. Okay, so now I'm going to paint the red of the umbrella. I mean, you can make it any colors you want. I'm just going to make it red and white. It's a patriotic beach. White, red, and blue. Okay. And this is my red I have, and it's old. Okay, I know it looks funny up here, but remember there's like a line over here. So that's more like round thing on top of the umbrella. So that's my umbrella, the red. And also sometimes you might pull a little bit of white into it. And that's totally fine. It will just look like shading. Let's, okay, so now I'm going to move down to the grasses that I want to put down here. Try and clean my brush, just push it in the water a few times, and I wipe it with a paper towel. My green, as you've seen, is very, very green. If you can get very green. So I am going to mix a little bit of yellow with my green. I might even bring in another color. I lost the lid for this one. See, that makes it a much more of a grass green than what it was. It's a little dark. Oh no, it's not that dark. When you paint grass, you want it to kind of crisscross and not all be the same length, not all come from the same place. Can go a little wider down here. So I usually do a few in the one direction and then I come up and I just go wild. And they also don't all need to be from the bottom. I just push your brush down when you're at the bottom so you get it a little thicker over there. And then you lift it and I hold my brush sideways. And I hope you can see. Let's pull it up a little bit because I think I pushed it down when. Sorry. Trying to make space, making sure you can see the grass. So I'm just going to go all the way up here. There's like a little hem inside that's making like a little bump there, but that's okay. And I might even want it to, I do want it to come over the chair a little bit because this doesn't totally, it looks like it's into the sand. And just play around, have some fun. I just want to, I don't think I mixed enough. And when your pillow sits down, you don't really see this part because you know how the inside makes it flatten over here. I just knew I had to mix more green, so I didn't want it to be two different colors, this side this color and this side that color. That's why I just spread it out. Let's see what this one looks like now. This is now. Okay, I think that's enough for the grass. And now for the liner. You can wait until it's totally dry. If you don't feel confident in lining with a brush, wait until it's totally dry. And then you can use a Sharpie or any permanent marker because permanent markers usually do not wash out, or a fabric paint pen if you want one of those. So you can use a Sharpie, and I would recommend not like pulling a line everywhere, make it look like a coloring book. But I am going to use paint to do it. But whatever I do with the paint, you can just follow with the Sharpie. And you can also de-stress your chair if you wanted to look a little older. You can put a little bit of brown on it, or even a little bit of gray to give it some shading. But that might make your chair look dirty. So we're just gonna go with black for now everywhere. And oopsie, I just got a black thumb. You can also use this little, this is an eye makeup. I buy 100 of them for $4. It's eyeliner brushes. They work perfect for lining. They're a little thin. It might take a little longer to do it. But if you're not confident, I would say start with this. You can also use your brush. And I'm just going to use this one for a lot of it. And then I will switch to the liner brush. If you have a flat brush, just make sure you flatten the tip of it. Oh, I still got a lot of green on there, but because I'm going to use black, I don't really am that concerned. Sorry, my black thickened a little bit. So I am just going to make little lines up there. And this way, if the line is not totally straight, I can get away with it. So I'm just putting the brush down. I'm almost making like a dotted line. Bring it up a little bit. There's like a little thing over there. I'm just putting that in. I am just making little lines up here. And your line doesn't need to be perfectly on the line. That's why I just drew little dots. Oops, you see, there's too much. I need to get some of that off. I am going to use my nail, and I am just pulling some of it away as much as I can. Okay. This is the pole of the chair, so of the umbrella. So I'm just painting that black. Here we go. Did I get everything here? This thing looks crooked. I'm just patting it so that it makes a little, I might need a little pat over there. There we go. Now for the chair, I'm going to do the straight lines. And you can see I'm just pushing the brush down. I'm just pushing down. So you can do it this way, just pushing the brush down, or you can move the brush if you want to go around. You can just draw the line. A good idea is also to look at your line before you draw it. So you actually like kind of know where you're gonna go. And keep your brush very flat. If it opens up, take your paper towel and flatten it out. If it has too much paint on, just pinch it with a paper towel and take most of the paint off. Then you'll get a much thinner line. And this is much quicker than going with that little brush, I promise you. I might do the, the round edges with the little brush because this is a little bit of a big brush to try and do that. If you don't have a little brush, you can also just use the edge of the paintbrush. Hold your paintbrush up and just use that little tiny edge to come around. And now I'm just going to paint little birds. I'm just going to make a little dot with the back of the paintbrush, and then I'm going to make a little U shape, little parenthesis just for the wings, just a little dot and two wings. Let's make two birds. So it's just a little dot and a wing and a wing. And I hope you enjoyed painting with me today. My line drawings are all on my website. And please subscribe to my channel. That way you will always stay updated to what I do over here.